Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Alright, so today we're going to do something a little different and hopefully that's something you will enjoy. But I am going to do a tag video. I was tagged by my friend Des. Her channel is Beauty by Des or Des Lifestyle Beauty. I'm so sorry, Des, I can't remember the full name of your channel, but she did this tag just recently. It was actually started by Gemma, whose channel is Pampered Wolf, which you might be aware of her channel. So I just thought this might be fun, and it's going to be me answering 10 questions about confessions about being a YouTuber. So I hope that sounds fun to you. Let's go ahead, we will jump in and get started. All right, the first question is, if you could use only one high-end product for the next 5 years and the rest must be affordable, which high-end product would you choose? And I was thinking about this, and I would probably have to say it would be two products from K18. It would be the regular K18 Bond Builder mask and then also the K18 Astro Lift. Those two products have done the most for my hair, and I have crappy hair, so they are pricier products, but to me they are so worth it because I'm really on this journey, if you will, to try to get my hair as strong and healthy as possible, and those two products are definitely helping. So yes, they are pricier, but I don't want to give them up, so it would probably be both of those products. The next question is, which beauty trends do you secretly hate but seeing everyone doing? Now, I don't see everyone doing this, but there is a trend maybe, or maybe a way of doing something that I really don't like, and it is when I see women out and about and their eyebrows are so dark and so perfect that the first thing you do when you're looking at them is notice their eyebrows. And I don't think that's most women's objective, is to have someone look at you and the first thing they notice is your eyebrows. But I just feel there's something so harsh about it and just very unnatural looking. And yes, I have finally gotten onto the trend that doing your eyebrows, darkening them and, grooming them, making them look as best as they can does help to frame your eyes and just complete your face. And I'm totally on board with all of that. But I just don't like that trend where I see women and their eyebrows are just so dark and so perfect. It looks like you could put them in a wind tunnel and dip them in a pool several times and like nothing would change with their eyebrows. And that's just not a look that I prefer or like for myself. And I just think it's just a very harsh look. So that would probably be the beauty trend that I just don't agree with. All right, the next question is, what makeup or skincare tip do you wish everyone knew? And I think that I wish everyone knew and would do is really just to commit to using SPF every single day. I think us older women realize we have the life lessons now that we know that preventing problems is much easier than trying to play catch up and scramble to try to fix things later on. So I think if everyone just really leaned into using SPF every day, I think it would be, our skin would just age so much better. I think that is the one thing that I wish everyone knew and would really do religiously, is just wear your SPF every day. The next question is, have you ever given a product a positive review when you thought it was rubbish? And I can honestly say no. I have never given a review of a product positively and didn't like it. Now, have I ever changed my opinion on products? Yes, I absolutely have. But to reiterate one more time, I have never given a positive review of something that I didn't really like. I would never do that. All right, so the next question is, which makeup tool do you absolutely refuse to use? Now, it's not really a tool that I refuse to use, but a certain type of product that I just cannot get myself to use. And that is skincare products that have the Snail Mucin in them. I just have the biggest mental block about putting Snail Mucin on my face. I don't know what it is. Most things I can try, and my husband will attest to the fact that you're putting that on your face. Like, I will try a lot, but Snail Mucin, for whatever reason, I just can't. I cannot slather that on my face. It's just one thing that I just cannot do. So it would have to be any of the Snail Mucin products. The next question I wanted to answer was, which sort of comments annoy you the most? And there's probably two types of comments that annoy me the most. And it's the ones where if I am sharing like a shopping haul and I am sharing with you things that I bought and I'm telling you I love it and it's obvious that I love it, and then there will be people that will comment on something that I love and they will proceed to tell me how unflattering it is, how ugly it is, or like just those type of comments. And I don't really see the point. Where there are times in my videos I will clearly ask, like, what do you all think of this? And I love your feedback. But if it's me just sharing something with you that I say that I love and I'm so excited about, I don't understand someone just kind of trying to rain on my parade, if you will. Like, those type of comments bother me a little bit because it's obvious that I love it and someone is trying to tell me why I shouldn't love it or it looks horrible on me, those type of things. Those kind of comments annoy me. And the other type of comment that annoys me is that the backhanded compliments. I have one woman, and every single time that she comments on one of my videos, there's always something very nice in the comment, but then on the backside there is a zinger for sure. But I try to take the high road most of the time, thinking that there's something in her life that she's unhappy with, or there's something in me that triggers something, an uneasy feeling in her, or that she just is trying to strike out, or I don't know. I try to just think that maybe there's something going on with her that I don't know about, and I try to just take the high road. Sometimes I don't even respond because I don't know how to respond, but sometimes I try to put the nicest spin that I can on responding, even though I thought the comment was kind of rude, or there was one part that was rude. So those would probably be the two types of comments that bother me the most. All right, the next question is, do you ever feel pressure to always look perfect on camera? Now, there is a pressure to try to look my best, obviously, when I'm on camera, because, I mean, this is on the internet, and obviously I want to try to look my best, but then I never realized starting my channel that I never thought in a million years I would do videos where I had no makeup on, nothing on my face, and would actually film that. And I have done that a lot on my channel. There's been certain vlogs that I make where I haven't, gotten makeup on yet, or if I'm showing you skincare or pre-makeup or whatever, I have showed my completely bare face so many times on my channel, which I never thought I would be able to do. Because, I mean, I'm 58 years old and my skin is not perfect, and I've got, a lot going on that I don't want people to, notice, but yet I have done that. So yes, there is a pressure to try to look your best, but then there's also something kind of freeing about making videos where I show you really what my skin looks like with no makeup, and I think that's kind of helpful too. So I guess it's like if there's the flip side of the coin. Yes, I do try to look my best, but then I also like to be real with all of you and show you pictures of, bare skin and no makeup, and just to be honest about what I really look like. So I hope that makes sense. The next question is, do you ever censor what you say about your personal life for your audience? And of course I do. I share a lot about my life. I think that I do anyways, but Obviously there are things in my life that I want to keep private, and that would probably have to do most with my family, my husband and my kids. My husband is extremely private. I mean, he doesn't even have social media accounts. Like this is not his type of thing at all. And I try to be very respectful of the fact that this is not his life to share, it's my life to share. So I try to be very respectful around things with my husband, and that's why I don't think you will ever see him in a video. I've never asked him if he would be in a video. I think the answer would be a big no. I haven't even showed pictures of him because I just tried to be respectful of the fact that this is something that does not interest him in the least. He is so supportive of me doing this. He loves that I have this in my life that is very fulfilling and makes me happy, and he's great like that. But I would never, I would never put him in a video unless I had explicit permission from him to do that. I try to respect his privacy because I know that really matters to him. And that's the same with my sons too. I do not share about their lives because it's not their thing. They don't want to have a YouTube channel, or they would have YouTube channels. So even though I am so proud and I could gush and I could talk about them for absolutely hours, I want to be respectful that they did not sign up to do YouTube. So I try to be very respectful about what I share about them as well. So yes, those are probably the main things that I censor on my channel. I keep my family, their lives private because that is what they want. But for most of the time, mostly anything else with me, I'm pretty much an open book. And if, people ask me questions, I feel like I can answer most things because I feel like with my own life, I can be pretty open, but very protective over my family. All right, so I think this is 8. So the next question I wanted to answer is, if people bumped into you in real life, what would surprise them most? And in thinking about that, I think what surprises people most the first time they meet me is that I'm really tall. I don't think people realize like how tall I am. I have officially measured my whole life. Like when I go to the doctors to get measured, I am 5'9¼ Like that is what I've measured basically my whole adult life. And I think though it's just the way that I'm proportioned, maybe because I have very long legs, but I think I look a lot taller than 5'9¼ And I think that surprises people because I think that 5'9", yeah, that is tall, but I think I look taller than that. So I think that's a big surprise that people have about me. And it's kind of a funny story that when I was in my 40s, and when my parents were still alive, and I would go back to visit them in New York, and I was visiting them in the house that I grew up in, and we still had neighbors in the neighborhood that had known me, as a little girl growing up. And I ran into one of the neighbors one day, and he said to me, "Oh my goodness, Tina, have you grown?" And like I said, I was probably like 45 at the time, and he was a smaller man, so I was always taller than him, since my teenage years. And, he ran and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I think you've grown." And I was like, "No, I think I have stopped growing." But I always just got a chuckle out of the fact that sometimes people that had seen me in a long time would ask me if I had grown. And no, I think I stopped growing at about 15. So that always just would give me a chuckle. So I think that is what would surprise people most, is that I am very tall. All right, this next question is, what's the most unflattering comment about your appearance that stuck with you? And there are 2 comments that different people have made on different videos that it actually got me insecure about things that I wasn't insecure about before. And the first was that some woman had commented once, like, what are you planning to do about your jowls? And it was the first time after that comment, I was in the mirror like, oh my gosh, yes, I do have bad jowls. And So now I look at myself and what do I see? I see my jowls all the time. So that kind of brought up a new insecurity that I hadn't even really thought about too much. But now, yes, when I look at myself, I'm editing videos, I always think, oh my gosh, you do have big jowls. So that was one thing. And another thing, my nose. My nose is kind of crooked. I don't know if I did something to it when I was younger, but someone had mentioned about, like, you know, needing to get my nose fixed or something. And that was quite a while ago, like a couple of years ago. And do you know that has still stuck with me? And it's another thing when I look at my videos and I think, oh my gosh, my nose is really crooked. And now you're probably all looking at my nose thinking, yeah, she really does need to get her nose fixed. But yeah, those were two things that honestly hadn't given me much concern until I read them, and then I noticed them. So really stuck with me, obviously, because they were older comments too. Right. Okay, and I'm gonna do one more because I think this is 10 or maybe it's 11. Hopefully I've got 10, but this is the last question. It is, what step in your makeup or skincare routine can you not skip under any circumstances? And I guess that would have to go back to wearing SPF every single day. And I was really good, I have to say, starting in my 20s, and it was hard back then. There were SPF moisturizers with a 15, if you remember, a long time ago. That was like the high number back a long time ago. And I did start using an SPF moisturizer with 15 every day on just my face. I, for some reason, never brought it down to my neck, which I wish I had. But I started doing that back, I think I was like 22. And never really had much of like a skincare routine. I would always wash my face in the morning and night and put on like a moisturizer. But I did start using SPF every day in a moisturizer when I was 20 because I saw my poor dad have half of his nose removed due to skin cancer. And it wasn't melanoma. I believe it was the squamous cancer. I'm probably mispronouncing that. But he went into the dermatologist and they do that Mohs surgery where they, you know, take a layer of the skin and then they examine it to make sure that the borders are all clear. And they kept doing that and doing that on his nose. And it got to the point where the dermatologist sent him home after he had gotten all the cancer out of his nose and said, I cannot repair this. You are going to need to go to see a plastic surgeon tomorrow to get them to sew up your nose. And I remember my mom and I were changing the bandage for him that night, and we could see the bone in his nose. I mean, that is how deep the dermatologist had to go to remove skin cancer. And so the next day he had to go in and have plastic surgery where they literally took some skin off of his upper thigh to reconstruct his nose. Like, it was that bad. And obviously when my dad was younger, there was no such thing as sunscreen, and he was out and got many burns. He was very fair-skinned. But I saw that in my, I think I was like 22 or 23 when that happened. And it had enough impact on me back then that I would search out moisturizers with an SPF 15 that I have been wearing every day just on my face since I was 23 or 22. So I think that has helped my skin a lot, even though 15 is now, we would kind of, you know, think that's not enough, but it's all they had back then. So I have been good about doing that, but that is one thing I will never skip, is I will religiously wear the sunscreen on my face every single day. All right, so I do hope that I had 10, maybe there was 11, I'm not quite sure. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video, friends, and maybe just got to know me a little bit better. And if you happen to be another YouTuber, please consider yourself tagged if you want to go ahead and do this video. I think it's fun to see everyone's videos. But I do want to thank all of you, my friends, for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend with me. I so appreciate it. And I will see you all next time. Bye.